Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, celebrating the players in baseball's Negro Leagues. That's what the Hartford Yard Goats will be doing Friday and Saturday as part of their celebration of the federal and now state holiday known as Juneteenth. On Friday, the Hartford Yard Goats will play in retro uniforms as the Hartford Schoolboys. It'll be at 7:30. Earlier in the day, they'll honor the legacy of Johnny Schoolboy Taylor, who played at Buckley High in Hartford before joining the Negro Leagues. His daughter, Lynette Taylor Grande, is here this morning, along with Aisha Petaway. She's the Executive Director of Community Partnerships for the Hartford Yard Goats Foundation. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. This is an exciting thing because anyone who knows baseball history knows the Negro Leagues and those players are such an important part of that history. And to not just have a Juneteenth celebration in Connecticut, but I was doing some research on your dad. I mean, some people say he might be one of the greatest baseball players, period, to come out of Connecticut.
That's what they say.
So that's a big deal. Let me just start with you, Aisha. Tell me, what's the team doing?
The team is super excited. I mean, the Hartford Yard Goats has been connecting with the Taylor family since its inception. After learning about Mr. Taylor's story, Mr. Taylor being a Hartford native and connecting him to the Yard Goats Stadium is just a win-win from everyone. So with Juneteenth and our celebrations, it's just super, super exciting that this year we'll be honoring Johnny Schoolboy Taylor and his legacy, his contribution to the Negro Leagues, which made a huge impact on what we watch for baseball today. It's one of the favorite sports of all time. So we are super excited that that weekend will be filled with celebrating Mr. Taylor.
Well, and Lynn, I know you have a jersey there behind you. If you want to grab it off the chair, you have just a regular Yard Goats jersey with his name on it. And now when you see the jerseys next weekend with the Hartford Schoolboys, what's that going to feel like when you see it?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of amazing to even think about it, because when I got this jersey, I thought this was the icing on the cake, and here we now have one that really honors my father in such a specific, personalized way. So we're hoping that maybe we walk away from the stadium with that new hat.
I want to ask you a little bit about him and his career. I did some research on him, and it's really amazing to see what he accomplished, but also to think about the lessons we can learn from his playing career. I mean, he was approached apparently by a scout, from what I read, who said, do you think you could change your last name to something Hispanic, and we might get drafted into the major leagues if we can just change your heritage? Right. A very different time, and yet he accomplished so much.
Yes, he was actually scouted by the Yankees and the Philadelphia A's right out of high school, and most of his classmates who were excellent at baseball were all hired into the major leagues, you know, mostly farm team, and then you kind of get to rise up. But my dad said he really needed to stay true to his heritage, who he was, and he just loved playing baseball, and he said, wherever I have an opportunity to play, that's going to be where I am.
Well, and certainly a lot of places, you know, the New York Cubans, you said to me earlier, the Savage Gems, the Twilight League, which anyone who knows baseball in Hartford knows is some outstanding competition. During his long Negro League career, he went through a no-hitter to best Satchel Paige. I mean, that's not bad. That's like Satchel Paige, that's no joke. So an absolute stud of a baseball player, but also somebody who we're still talking about this long later. It must be an incredible legacy.
Yeah, he's in Satchel Paige's autobiography, and he's mentioned as that schoolboy from Hartford, Connecticut who beat me. And Satchel Paige, I guess, was quite dismayed that he got beaten by this young player. And then during the career in the Negro Leagues, my father did, of course, play with him, against him, that type of thing. So it was just it's a wonderful life. That's all I can say is I wasn't born, but I'm sure my father just felt it was the best life he could have lived.
And looking at some of it, I know your dad passed in 1987.
Yes.
So, but in his later years, did he have an appreciation for what he had accomplished? Did he have a recognition of how much the Negro Leagues and him as a player accomplished in America?
Well, he gave one interview in his lifetime to John B. Howey, who was a baseball researcher, and that work is in the Society for American Baseball Research tomes. He never, in our home, he was just very humble, and his humility amazes me to this day, because we never heard about this growing up. He was just our dad. We lived in the south end of Hartford, and of course everybody who knew my father knew his baseball story. So everywhere we went, it was always brought up, but not by my father. So he just lived it vicariously through all of these other people's admirations, and, you know, just congratulating him constantly for what he achieved.
Aisha, I want to ask you about what's coming up this weekend. So Friday, Saturday, if people are going to the games, obviously neat uniforms, maybe an opportunity to buy some merchandise to honor Schoolboy Taylor. But what can fans expect when they come out to the games?
of another Yard Goats spectacular event, right? So we're starting at 10:30 a.m. actually at the Boys and Girls Club South End campus, where the Act Up Studios, who's another partner with us, a local theater company, will be depicting the life and legacy of Mr. Schoolboy Taylor through a theatrical performance. So we're inviting some kids out to come and learn more about him. Josh Gibson's great-grandson, Sean Gibson, will be joining us, and him and Lynette will have a nice talk after. Josh was a catcher for Johnny, so seeing them together this weekend, I'm super excited to see that. Then you can join us down at the stadium for a block party. We'll have vendors. We'll have Hot 93.7 broadcasting live from there. The vendors, activities for the kids. Chompers and Choo Choo is getting their Schoolboy gear ready, so they'll be there. But again, just another community event celebrating Johnny, and then we'll have our game at 7:10. So it's going to be a spectacular day there at the stadium, down at the Boys and Girls Club, and we just really want to celebrate his contribution. But actually, it's Juneteenth. We want to bring the community together for some education and empowerment. So we're super excited.
And so much of minor league baseball, and certainly what you do with the Yard Goats, is about that community and that family experience. Lynette, only about 30 seconds left. What would Dad think about this if he knew all this was happening in his name?
He's smiling down, honestly. I mentioned one time at the Yard Goats that most people go to a cemetery to pay homage to their fallen family members. We get to come to the stadium, to Dunkin Park, and just surrounded by the most wonderful people. You know, the organization is just outstanding. And we leave there feeling like we just won the lottery. It's just that unbelievable that we go and have always a great time and just feel like we're such a part of the whole thing. So.
Well, you'll be a part this weekend because his name will be right on the front of the jerseys. That's very cool. Aisha Petaway, Lynette Taylor Grande, thank you for being with us. We have some information if you'd like to participate. Here's how you do it. There's all the information. June 23rd and June 24th. You can find out more by going to the link we have posted at WFSB.com. That is CT 23 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning is coming up next. A very happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We'll, of course, meet you back here in Studio B next Sunday morning.